So I get up this morning, and it's 3:30 in the morning, and I got to get up and run to the bathroom. And I go to crawl back in bed, and all of a sudden I hear this, Michael, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom. And then I hear, yeah, but what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And it's my wife. And I'm like, I'm thinking I want to go back to bed. It's 3:30 in the morning. And I'm like, why? What are you thinking? And she goes, it's Christmas Eve. And it was that exuberance, that childlike quality, that thing that happens during this time of the year for myself. And it's just this melting, if you will, of all this stuff in here that allows me personally to connect with a deeper part of myself, and I am filled with love this time of year. I also understand that this time of year can kind of be a lot for some people. Some people are thinking about loved ones that are gone, and they struggle at this time. And so for anybody who is struggling, I just want you to know that my thoughts and prayers are with you as well. So we've kind of got these two ends of the spectrum, if you will. We've got the people that are maybe struggling a little bit, and then we've got people like me that are crazy out of my mind, right? And everything across the board. And just know, no matter where you're at, that you're welcome here. And the reason you're welcome here is because we do things a little bit differently here than, I would say, a more traditional place. We look at things differently. We believe the messages that Jesus, the man, who was an amazing mentor and amazing guide and amazing teacher, for me personally, I love him, I adore him, and I always will. Nothing will change about that. But I think the thing that's a little bit different with unity, and that's what the talk is today, is this understanding that actually Jesus was trying to say, hey, there's this part of me that is my divinity. It's the seed of the divine within me. And if you will slow down enough and pay attention to that part that's in all of us, not just him, but all of us, that we all have access to, and we start paying attention to it, and we start listening to it, all of a sudden, things change. They do. You just start to become aware. You start to become aware of, your connection. Your connection with yourself, your connection with each other, your connection with Mother Earth, your connection with life. Because in truth, we are all one. We are all connected. That just isn't a nice saying, that's real. And so, when you come and start playing with this stuff, understanding that you are not going to come in here, if you've never been here before, you're not going to come in here and be told what to do. That's not what we do here. What we do is we offer, we propose, sometimes try to cajole you into this understanding that, hey, you've got something inside of you. If you will start paying attention to it and listen to what it is telling you to do, not what I'm telling you to do, not what Unity's telling you to do, not what something outside of yourself is telling you to do, but if you'll listen to what's inside of you, then all of a sudden there starts to become this peace that is real. I cannot tell you, and I mean this, and some of you know this, how real that is. That isn't something that is just Mike blabbing his mouth. It's not. That peace is so real, and it's so alive, and it's so there from each and every one of you. You know, Eric Butterworth once said that unity essentially is a technique through which you can find answers for yourself in words that are meaningful to you. And that's what unity is. And that's what we do here on a regular basis. And then we grab a hand, we lend a shoulder, we laugh, we cry, we do everything in between. And we support each other on our own journey. And you know what? We honor that journey. We respect that journey. We listen to that journey because we know that it's different for every single one of us. And when all of a sudden we can drop all the crap that society is trying to tell us that separates us, and instead focus on the thing that brings us together, which is unity. And by the way, unity consciousness is real. When we focus on that, then guess what? All the stuff that divides us fades. It goes away. And then all of a sudden, I can just come up and give you a big hug and tell you how much I love you, how much I care about you, how important you are, and I want to know every single thing I can because I want to support you in your own journey. And that's really what we do here. So, whether you're here for the first time, or you're here for the 101st time, or 1,001 time for some of you, thank you. Thank you for coming here this morning. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning on this Christmas Eve day, which is just a wonderful time for friends, for family. I was here early this morning, and the laughter coming out of the kitchen, and they can't hear me now, but I'm just going to tell you, it touched my heart to hear them having laughter, and just, it was so much fun. And so, we're going to have a lot of fun this morning. We're really, really glad you're here. We're going to have a lot of fun this afternoon. We hope you can make it at 4 o'clock this afternoon as well. And so, Merry Christmas. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. So, a few weeks ago, we started talking about this idea of Advent. And we started talking about how it really is the time of preparation. This idea that it's an arrival of a notable person, place, or thing. In the Christian tradition, it's the arrival of Jesus, right? And like I was saying earlier, most of us do celebrate the life of Jesus and honor the man and everything that Jesus was all about. So that's a really, really, really cool thing, and something I've participated in since I was that big, right? And so there's this part that says, hey, let's celebrate Jesus, the man, and his birth at the time. There's a little bit of debate about whether this was his real birthday or not, but we won't go there. All right? But what makes unity a little bit different, and what I didn't mention the last time, is that unity looks Jesus, when we think about Jesus, in kind of through three different lenses, if you will. So we have Jesus the man. We got that. No problem. And then there's the Christ. And what we believe is that that's the piece of the divine that we all have within us, that is our birthright, that is not something that is earned. It is something that is yours. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to go out there. You don't get it because of something you did or didn't do. It's there. It is automatically there. And that's the Christ within us, in each and every one of us. And then you have Jesus Christ, or Jesus the Christ, which is a union. And this is a fascinating part. It's a fascinating part because it's the physical part of us, but then there's the divine part of us. So it's the combination of the two. And nobody, until that point in time, had done a better job of that expression. And that's why it made such a huge impact in the world and has ever since. And so, what makes unity different and unique is that we dare to believe, that just like there is a Jesus Christ, and this is where you're going to go, blasphemous. There may be a Scott Christ. There may be a Chris Christ. There may be a Jerry Christ. There may be a Charles Christ. There may be a Joan Christ. There may be a Michael Christ. And I would argue there's no maybe. There is no maybe. It's there. It's there. And when you start to sink into that, it's like, whew, man, that's a pretty heavy load, right? Really? And it's like, yeah, really. It really, really is there, right? And I think one of the reasons I love so much about unity is we believe that Jesus was the example, not the exception. I'm going to say that again. What we believe is that Jesus was the example, not the exception, because we believe we are all the Christ in our own way, in our own unique, special way. That's a lot. That changes the game. That all of a sudden makes you think to yourself, oh, did he just say what I think he just said? Yes, I am. I'm daring to call you out. I'm daring to call you out of your shell. I'm daring to have you take and get out of that basket that you put over yourself and quit playing small. Oh, Mike, you don't understand. I mean, if you looked at my life, have you seen what's going on in my life right now? Yeah, I know. I talk to you. For many of you, I know exactly what's going on. You know what? It doesn't matter. That does not take away your divinity, ever. Ever. Because it's there. And when you think about the message of Jesus, that's what Jesus' message was. You are the Christ. You have the peace of the divine just like everybody else did. Didn't Jesus himself always say, and you guys know it's one of my favorite Bible quotes, you will do this and greater things. You will do this and greater things. Why did he say that? Because he knew. He knew who you were and who you are. He knew that. Because why? He knew who he was. Right? And this is the thing that fills my heart with so much gratitude for Jesus at this time. This is what gets me giddy, is because of his story and the example he gave. It was an amazing story. Because he showed us what it was like to live fully and beautifully as a human, with warts and all, with the confusion, the frustration, the struggles of being a human. Read his story. It wasn't a picnic all the time. Yes, he turned water into wine. Yes, he liked a good party. Jesus loved to party. I don't care what anybody else says. Jesus loved to party, liked a good time, right? But I don't know if you read any of it, but there were some times that weren't a lot of fun for him. So he struggled, like you are, like we all do. I'm not immune from that. You're not immune from it. Jesus wasn't immune from it. We all have our moments, right? But he embraced all of it, and he didn't deny it. Even the parts, like I've been saying over the last couple of weeks, if you've been paying attention, even the parts that we don't want to talk about, even the parts that we don't like to tell people about, even those parts, he accepted all of them. Why? Because that's how healing works. When you slow down enough and you look at all of you and love even those parts of you that you might not love, that is when healing starts to happen. And that's exactly what Jesus did. And so, when asked what Charles Fillmore thought the reason Jesus came, Fillmore said, to help humanity into the higher realization of God and the relationship with God. Well, that's kind of interesting. The relationship with God. Yep. And then he went on to say he came to awaken humanity to the possibilities of their own nature. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And then Butterworth said he made the great discovery his own divinity. That's what he discovered. That's what Jesus did, right? He discovered it, just like you can. And it's not a discovery. It's really just an acknowledgement. That's all it is. Butterworth went on to say he proved the indwelling Christ in himself and his own inherent potential for overcoming. And then he said, we have been misled by focusing on his divinity and overlooked the fact that he was focused on our divinity. I'm going to read that again. We've been misled by focusing on his divinity. In other words, it's outside of ourselves. It's outside of ourselves. Look outside of yourself, look outside of yourself, look outside of yourself. And the mistake is he was trying to focus on our divinity. Is there a difference there? Just a little bit. Can that change things? Oh, yeah. Can that ever change things? Right? Jim? Thank you. little technical issue here. Sorry, folks. Thank you. He said, in effect, you can do what I do, right? But you are the one that has to make that decision. You are. Folks, nobody else is going to make that decision for you. Nobody. Nobody can. Why? You have free will. That's not a little thing. Free will is an amazing gift. But you've got to do something with that free will. And you're the one that's got to make the decision, hey, am I going to do this thing or am I not? And there is no shame, blame, judgment, or guilt on what you decide. And there's no pressure, because Spirit is never, ever, ever going to put pressure on you to have to make that decision, ever. It's not the way it works. But ultimately, you're the one that's got to make the decision. And in my opinion, the old Christian traditional way of doing it, when you go up and I don't know, anybody here ever do the altar calls? Well, I'm going way back. Do you guys remember when you used to do the altar calls? You used to come up to the front and say, I confess my sins to Jesus and I accept Jesus Christ, blah, 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 right? That was, well, for any of you that were around back then. They still may do it, and it's okay. Then believe me, I'm not judging anybody or anybody's path, because for some people that's important to them, and God bless them if it is. But in my opinion, what it really comes down to is your decision to accept the indwelling Christ within yourself. That's it. And when you say that, and then you start to do things in your life to pursue that relationship with that Christ within, it's a game changer. It is truly a game changer. And so, as many of you know, there's some great stories in the Bible that reflect that. And I want to share with you one of those stories, a Christmas story, if you will, about this. And I'm going to play with it a little bit, because we're not only going to listen to the story, but then, of course, we're going to go through it and metaphysically rip it apart, because everybody knows I love to play with the metaphysics. And what are the metaphysics? The metaphysics are the deeper understanding. Why? Because Unity believes that the Bible is really a metaphoric explanation of man's own, women's own, humanity's own awakening into their own divinity. And that's what it is. So, in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem asking, where is the child who's been born King of Jews? For we observed his star in the east and have come to pay homage. When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them, where is the Messiah? Where was the Messiah to be born? They told him, in Bethlehem and Judea, for so it has been written by the prophets, that and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is a shepherd, my people Israel. Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may go pay homage to him. When they heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star, and they had seen it in the east until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that star, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and have been warned in a dream not to return to Herod. Interesting. They left for their own country by another road. It goes on to say, now after they left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph and said, get up and take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and they went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, out of Egypt I called my son. So that is there's two traditional Christmas stories. That's one of them in the book of Matthew. The other one is in Luke. And that's the story. But wait, could there be more? Could there be another way of looking at this little story? And so when we look at it metaphysically, let's go through it again and see if it doesn't sound a little bit differently. So, in the time of King Herod, Herod equals the ego. After Jesus was born, what is Jesus? Jesus represents the I am. It's your divinity. So the ego is there, and then all of a sudden we wake up. And now there's this I am identity that we're playing with, right? Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Jesus was born, there was something going on inside the body. Don't forget the body. The body plays an important part of your own awakening, okay? So there we are in Bethlehem, and all of a sudden these magi show up. What is the magi? Inner wisdom of the soul. So the wise men show up. All of a sudden your inner wisdom shows up. Now this is kind of getting interesting. And they came from the east to Jerusalem. The east is within. So wait a minute, I got this thing that's being born. I've got my divinity that's being born, but there's this thing called the ego, and the ego doesn't sound too happy about this whole thing happening. I can feel this thing within my body, and there's wisdom within my body, and it's all within. Okay, you guys tracking? Is this making sense so far? Okay, good, we're keeping track. All right, so then, when Herod hears this, he was frightened. So when the ego hears about your divinity, it's going to be frightened. Why? Because you're threatening it. The minute you start to do anything that is going to invite you to change your life, your ego is going to lose its, you know what? It is. Why? Because you're going to change. You're going to do something different, and the ego doesn't like it. Why? The ego wants you to stay stuck. It doesn't want you to change. And so it's going to do everything in its power to show up and try to convince you that whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to change is not a good idea. It's not, right? So then we have the chief priests and the scribes, which is the mental activity. Guess what the ego's favorite game to play is? Mental, 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 mental. Don't we as a society value the mental, our mental capacity? Don't we do that? Yeah, but you know what we forget in that process? Oh, this thing called your heart. And that's what we forget, right? So Herod was freaking out. He calls all the priests and the scribes, and he's going, all right, hey, let's go find out where this little dude is. Let's go find out, right? And he secretly calls them, and he wants to know the exact time where they appear, and he sends them to Bethlehem, saying, go and search diligently for the child. So in other words, the ego is all over it. The ego is all over it. We've got to figure this thing out. This is not good. This is not good. And although the ego, because the ego is conniving, it's sneaky. And so it's trying to trick the magi into telling them where is this thing? Where is this divinity piece, right? And when they heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star. Now the star is your intuition. So the Magi is using their intuition. Again, where's your intuition? Inside. It's inside your heart. Are they looking outside of themselves? No, they're not. They're following their intuition. They're following their gut. They're listening to what's going on, right? And so they follow the star, and when they saw the star, they stopped, and they were overwhelmed. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, and Mary is the soul that prepares itself for a higher life. So in other words, you're making a decision, and now you get ready for this thing to start showing up, for your divinity to start showing up, right? And so they saw the child of Mary with his mother. They knelt down and paid homage. Then they started opening their treasure chests. They offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold represents the riches of the Spirit. Frankincense is the beauty of the Spirit. Myrrh is the eternity of Spirit. And so what happens is when we start to do this work, guess what starts to happen? You start to get the gifts of Spirit that you don't have access to when you're stuck in your head and you're stuck in your ego. What? Yeah. You don't get access to it until you get out of your head. That's the deal, right? So now we've got the escape to Egypt. And so what happens? Now after they left, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph's wisdom, in a dream that said, hey, get up and take the child to his mother and flee to Egypt. So I got that out of order. So Egypt is the subconscious mind. This gets deep. For just a half second, I'm going to go there, okay? When you start to do this work, you understand that in your subconscious mind are all these programs that you have about who and what you are that were put there when you were a small child, not by you, probably by your parents or whoever you were with at the time, whoever was the major influence. At the age of 7-ish, that gets shut off. And so then what happens is from the age of 7 until you start to do this work, guess what's running your entire life and your operating system? Your ego and all those old programs. So what this story is telling you is once you start to do the work, you've got to go into your subconscious mind to find out what programs are running you. Huh? That's what this is all about? Yes. Yes. Why? Because we've got all these beliefs about who and what we are that are complete crap. Can he say that during a Christmas Eve service? Yes, I just did. Right? And so that's what's in there. So this thing is telling us, wait a minute, we got to go into the subconscious mind because that is the thing that is controlling our life, and more than likely it's garbage that has been fed to you when you were just a little kid. And I don't know about you, but I wasn't growing up in the best, loving, supportive environment. And I certainly wasn't told I was divine. In fact, I was a sinner. I was born in original sin, and I was never, ever going to change that. Right. That's what I was told. And so guess what ran my life? That's why I was a fundamentalist when I was younger. And I believe that. My guess is there might be a little bit of that in every one of us. Maybe. What do you think? Maybe? Maybe. So there's all this garbage, if you will, right? So then what happens? The angels say, hey, get out of there. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. Again, the ego. When you start to do this, the ego is going to stand up and be loud and proud. And it's going to tell you, don't change, don't change, don't change. Don't change. Don't even bother wasting your time. And yet, when you make that decision to follow the indwelling Christ and listen and go within and start paying attention, everything changes. Because then what happens? Well, wait a minute. So then I don't have to sit there and think that I'm a low-life sinner that's going to be doomed to spend the rest of eternity in this really hot place? Right? No. You mean I can actually change this thought that maybe the truth is I'm a beautiful reflection of the divine, that I'm not limited, that I can do anything that I really set my mind to, that I can let go of the limited beliefs about who and what I am. I can let go of the limited beliefs about who and what you are. And instead, what I can do is allow that love of the divine to flow through me and then to share that with everybody in my life. And then, oh man, then it gets really going, right? Because then what can you do? Well, then I can forgive myself. And guess what? Then I can forgive you. Then I can offer myself grace. And then guess what? I get to share that grace with you. So then, wait a minute. So then I can live my life and do the best I can and try and get better as a human being because I want to be a good person. And then I can do it the way that looks good for me and feels good to me. And then I don't have to sit there and judge you for what's going on in your life and the way that you show up. And then I can start taking responsibility because then what I understand is energetically, what's showing up in my life is probably what I'm attracting. In other words, what's happening is energetically, I am creating because I am a divine creator of God. So energetically, what's happening is I'm attracting things in my life that match my vibration. Oh my God. Is that how it works? Yes. Why? Because you are divine. You are powerful beyond what you've ever thought possible. And that's what it is. And that's what Jesus knew. Jesus knew it. He lived it. 2,000 years ago, this little baby showed up, and everybody knew. Everybody at the time knew what was going on. They knew it so much that the king at the time said, we've got to kill that. That's how powerful Jesus was. Why? Because he did something you all can do. He decided to declare and say to himself, I'm divine. And then what did he do? He spent his life just letting that flow through him. That was it. And he lived with that. What a gift. What an amazing gift. So, it's Christmas. And I hope today and tomorrow, maybe a little part of your moments will be taking a moment and not only celebrating the life of this amazing teacher, this amazing mentor, my amazing friend, that would be really fun if he became your friend as well. And even if not, it's okay. By the way, there's others that have done this. We don't claim to own all of it. But just for a moment, just thank Jesus. And then just for a moment, I dare you, if you haven't done this, maybe, make that decision. Yeah, I think, yeah, there's this thing, this indwelling Christ. Yeah, I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to do that. In your own humble way, whatever that may look like. And then just watch, and then just listen, and just see how things for you start to change. Whether you know it or not, or whether you believe this or not, you are a beautiful reflection of the divine. You are doing incredible work down here just because of who and what you are. No, Mike, you don't understand. It's just little old me. Oh, yes, I do. Why? Because I know who you are. I really know who you are. You are the divine incarnate. That's all I need to know. And that, to me, is why it's such an honor to be spending time with you, to each and every one of you. I want to just fully acknowledge the divine. And I just want you to know how incredibly grateful I am for you, for your presence, for you being here, for you participating in our community, for you giving your light to the world that so desperately needs it at this time. God bless and Merry Christmas. Thank you. Oh, we have some announcements this morning. Chuck is going to be sharing with us. Chuck, come on up.
So if the board members would join me on stage, please. Board members, come on up. While they're coming up, a lot of you don't know, but Mike has been our temporary / part-time minister for many years. He was been here for the year that we've been here, the time that we have merged the churches, but prior to that, he was for many years at Ada. Well, the board and I have a little Christmas present for you, given this time of year. We have offered, and Mike has accepted, a full-time minister position. So Mike will be speaking a little bit more. He will have some office time, so it's really appropriate that Leah is here as well. And so we just wanted to welcome him. This is going to be the first step towards achieving our growth vision for the church. And we're going to share that growth vision with you after the holidays. And we want your input, and then we want to move forward. So we have some exciting times this next year. Mike is going to be a big part of it, and we welcome you. And Jim, if you would, go ahead and pull up that unity blessing for us, because I would all like us to give Mike that unity blessing. And if you guys would all join me, please. Mike, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. And welcome as our new full-time minister.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I've shared the story with a handful of you in the past few days. I just want you to understand how blown my mind is. I want you to understand that 6 years ago, I had been speaking on and off at Unity in Ada, and I got to the point to where, for a long time, I thought that I was going to become a minister, and I just felt like that season had passed me. And I remember really struggling, but I was firmly convicted in my mind that I was going in there and going to tell them, this is it. I had been speaking on and off. I hadn't spoke for a couple of months, and really I just thought, this is it. I'm done. So I made my mind up, and I said, this is the day that I'm going to go tell them, don't call me again to speak. That day I walked into Unity, I talked, and afterwards I went up, and Charles grabbed me, and Charles said, Michael, we need to talk. Would you go have lunch with me, because we got some stuff going on, and we want you to be a part of it. And the rest is history. The rest is me accepting the part-time position, the spiritual leader in Ada for a while, and then I started going through the ministerial program, and then the two churches combined, and here we are. That is humbling to me, to know how Spirit works. That wasn't me. It wasn't. I guess a part of me, yeah. But that was really Spirit doing what it does. And to me, this is just another step in that journey. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity. I am so excited because we've got so many things that we want to be doing, and we have so much more that we can think we can do to help people and support people in their own spiritual understanding, their development, their awakening, and their growth. And we just think we can do more of it and touch more people's lives and really, really share this message of just how special and incredible you are. And if that's what I'm going to be doing, sign me up. Sign me up. I'm ready to go. So thank you. I'm grateful for that.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.